Yeah. Yeah. I know they mad for no reason. I'm holding on to change my life. Gotta move fast for a reason. I'm holding on to change my life. Huddling. I'm staring at charts until I retire. Yeah. Huddling. I'm staring at charts until I retire. Oh, 700K, I'm selling a Bitcoin. Haters mad, but they listen to this one. More profit coming to my direction. You know me, I don't need a mention. I got the remedy, ooh, yeah. They don't just follow me, ooh, yeah. You say allegedly, ooh, yeah. You would subscribe to me, ooh, yeah. Staring at chart, drawing a line. Make a decision, you out of time. Huddling, huddling, huddling. I'm staring at charts until I retire. Yeah. Huddling, huddling. I'm staring at charts until I retire. Yeah. See on stage. On-chain revolution. Youngest. Boom.
Welcome back to On-Chain Revolution. My name is Shizzy. On this channel, we cover the entire crypto ecosystem. What is up, guys? We have an amazing show for you guys today. We're live from the On-Chain Hour, and today's episode is going to be phenomenal, guys, because we are green, we are feeling bullish again, and we are very excited about the future. And pretty much the next couple weeks, next couple months, next couple years, in my opinion. I feel like Bitcoin's going to hit record highs very soon. And whether that is this month, next month, or in January, we are going to make out. We are going to win like we usually do in the bull market. And we are going to get one. I know a lot of people are saying the bull market is over. It is not. You have PlanB coming out and basically saying, nah, we are excited still. So we're going to get into that later as well. But we got Bitcoin sitting at 110,697. We got Ethereum sitting at 4,036. Really amazing to see Ethereum back over 4,000. I think, again, that is the leading indicator for the rest of the market. As long as we see Ethereum in the green, we're going to see stuff like Hustle up 7%. Tau with a huge weekend, back over 438. I mean, this thing was hanging around 300 to 375 for like 2 weeks now. So really excited to kind of see that back up there. XRP is green, up 3%. Hype token is up 2%. As they're still struggling, sitting around 119, but it is up about 18 cents from it was last weekend. Wilfi up 1.9. You got Dog up 11%. Shout out to Dog Army. I'm starting to get bullish on runes again. I think the bottom is in. I think, seeing Puppets and Billy around 4 or 5 million, seeing Gizmo 2.5. I am starting to get back in. As you guys know, that I was a little bearish on runes the last couple of weeks, last couple of months, but it's because I didn't feel like they bottomed yet. I do feel like runes have bottomed. I think it's time to really start looking in that area. And then we have stuff like Sui up 1.5%, Farcoin up almost 3%. Farcoin, again, is a leading indicator for the memes, so really excited for that. Today's show is going to be jam-packed with stuff, guys. We got stuff from, the Solana team creating their own Perp exchange. We got Jeff joining us at 12 p.m. Eastern time for his weekly segment. We're going to ask him potentially, is Merlin going to be doing the same? We'll find out there. So really excited. So let's get the show started. Without further ado, bring my partner here as always, Mr. Yagobi. What's up, buddy?
What's up? What's up? What's up?
What's up, man? Before we get started, you had a tremendous weekend. Did something that our good friend Jeff really enjoys. Why don't you talk about it a little bit?
Yeah, drove to Austin to check out the F1 event, which was historically the largest in terms of attendance ever for F1. It was wild, and so the track was huge, and it was my first experience, so it was cool. It was cool. I just kind of had to figure things out, you know what I mean? Because I've never been to an F1. And I don't go to NASCAR. I don't do the Ricky Bobby thing really. So it was new for me all the way around. But I'll tell you what, man. I saw a lot of Web3 companies being present there in terms of advertising. You saw OKX, Bybit was advertising a lot there. Crypto.com, of course, stuff like that. And so it was a fun time. And I was ready to get back though, because travel, I feel like as I get older, it wears on you mentally, man. You're just exhausted by the end of it, right? So I'm glad to be back and ready to keep researching with these guys that watch our show every day.
Yeah, man, that's kind of why I brought it up. I was curious about like the Web3 presence. Like, did you see a pudgy penguin at all? Did you see like
No.
what was, did people know with like the Web3 companies are, or is it just kind of just like we're just here to party and have a good time?
So I'll tell you this. Is another interesting thing is there's not many US F1 drivers. First of all, I think there might be one or something that's a part of a team, but you see a lot of the prominent US companies advertising on these cars and at these events. I saw eBay there. I saw Oracle, which is obviously like huge tech company. I think they are a big sponsor with the Red Bull team, right? And you see Visa everywhere. And then I'm starting to see like OKX, and I'm starting to see Bybit, and I'm starting to see Kraken, and I'm realizing that some of these tech giant companies that were advertising F1 probably starting a decade ago or longer, our space, the people that are bigger in our space are starting to enter that realm as well, which is big, because that's kind of telling to me that they're getting bigger, they're having larger budgets, they're making more revenue, and so the space is going to continually grow. And so that was awesome to see. But in terms of people, they don't really care, right? They're there for they get the jersey or the shirt of their driver, and they're just really into it, cheering them on. But for me, I noticed those things because it's our industry, right? But to me, it was a bullish indicator that they're advertising in a space that is global. It's probably one of the larger global sports, because it goes every country. So.
Yeah, 100%. And like, the East doesn't really believe in marketing too much, right? I think it's more of a West thing. The West is all about marketing, while the East, they kind of do their own internal marketing, it's like stuff like that. So it is kind of cool to see some of these East companies, especially like Bybit, right, actually come out and actually do the advertising thing, especially on the F1 cars.
Yeah, I think it's until you get to a certain level, they probably don't worry about the budget as much as like Western companies will right away kind of say, hey, look, this will help kickstart us and get brand awareness. But once you reach a certain level of growth as a company, I think everybody has to play that game. And we're seeing it with those centralized exchanges, right? But seeing a centralized exchange like OKX there, and Bybit was the one that shocked me, because OKX, pretty branded, I guess for native Web3 people in the West, like we know OKX. Not your everyday person is going to know them, but we do. And but Bybit is something that's up and coming, and even more so than OKX. OKX, in my opinion, is more branded than Bybit, but them being there is a big deal in my opinion, because it's just showing that like they're growing.
100%. All right, let's jump into our first topic of the day here. Web3 sector is about to explode. The risk on rotation could ignite the next crypto boom. So some things that, before we get started, there's a couple things that I've seen on my timeline over this like the last couple of days, was basically Ryan Sean Adams, obviously bankless. DeFi for AI agents is the next thing, right? And then you go to a guy like Alex Becker. You actually don't understand how essential crypto is to AI, right? And then you got someone like Mark Jeffrey come out and says Tau robotics subnet sneaking up the stack. So obviously AI is huge in the TradFi world, and then you have AI being something in crypto that's not really being talked about as much. I think it should be, but will probably lead to the next sector. What DeFi Summer did was DeFi Summer had an insane 2 months. Fell completely asleep until about December, January. And I feel like, AI had its huge upward momentum in January, a little bit of February. And then, it really fell asleep up until potentially, I think, in the next couple of months. So what are some sectors that you're really bullish on kind of going forward?
So AI, obviously, you just broke that down. And one thing I want to say about AI before going to some of the other ones is, I think AI is going to be most prevalent in sectors that test it, and find the use cases early. So crypto has that, because with the AI agents and being able to see, like, for example, there's a new project Reno that launched, and they're testing out 4 different AI models to see which ones can basically trade the best, but with the information that they have, right? And so that to me is like an industry that's trying to break these models by, you know, creating products out of them, right? So it's like you have to, you know, push the envelope and then see where that use case comes from. So I think our space is going to be one of the leading spaces with AI. And then you have a couple of different areas as well. I think privacy is starting to become more really looked into. Not just because of your individual privacy, but also ways to kind of give people a more fair chance in these fast meme type of environments. Not showing, you know, when something's necessarily hot or who got into it, and then also just trying to use it in a way to benefit the space, you know, from an everyday user. That's one. And then obviously the personal privacy aspect of it, that's pretty self-explanatory of why it could benefit the end user. And then you move on to RWA, which we've talked about that multiple times, but there's a token called Cards, by the way, on Solana that focuses on, you know, building a portfolio of collectible cards. And I think the market cap's at like 250 to 300 million. It's actually, it's crazy. Yeah. And so that's an RWA area that not most people think about RWA, right? We do because we have that experience, but you have, people that are traditional RWA, when they hear that, they just really think about financial products that can be digitized in our world. But it goes, you know, from one end of the spectrum to the other, right? So you can talk about these tangible collectible cards or, you know, gold coins, or, you know, they're trying to bring gold into our space as well to tokenize it. And then you get to real estate as well. So we haven't really even started to scratch the surface for that sector at all. But it does get, I feel like it goes from this kind of fun degen area, like the collectible cards and stuff like that, maybe gold a little bit, to like straight full blown like bonds and all these other type of RWA, you know, tokenized financial products. That's more of TradFi side, but the real estate's kind of somewhere in the middle there, to where like you have some experience with selling houses, you've owned a house in the past, you realize that how you can benefit from that. So I think that's going to be a huge sector that if you're in early right now in our space, you can learn how that works. You know what I mean? You can learn about some of those TradFi sectors that are going to be coming to that as time goes on. So big opportunity there as well. And then you get into like, I think it's a little bit more risk on because it's a little bit too early, but the robotics, and I say too early for society, they have robots right now. There's a couple companies that are really battling out. I think Boston Dynamics is one in the US, and I forgot the Chinese company, but it's always Chinese in the US. Those are always number 1 and 2 that are battling it out. But they've gotten the robots and to really be able to do some crazy stuff. So it's not necessarily always about a robot, like a butler, like the Jetsons, right? Like you don't, it's not necessarily always about that. It's robotics in general. If they can do that, then they can do other things for manufacturing and all these other type stuff. Then how do you roll like AI in the digital asset space into it? So I feel like that's a little bit more on the risk curve side, just because it's too early. Eventually it'll come further to a little bit safer. But those are 3 kind of right off the top of my head. I'm curious of your thoughts on those.
Yeah, 100%. I'll kind of work backwards from where you said. So basically robotics, right? I'm a little worried about decentralized robotics because I don't want people like controlling drones. You know what I mean? Like, that's a little
already
scary
happening
in the
though.
Sense. Well, I know, but like imagine just being able to take 51% of the hash power or whatever it is, and then you control the drone itself, right? So that's a little scary in the sense of decentralization. I want my drones to be centralized by like the army. Like, you know what I mean? Like in that sense, I want it to be, I don't want drones to crash into my house. You know what I mean? So, and like drop in, you know, explosives and stuff like that. So the drone, the robotic stuff still scares me a little bit, but I do think there's an opportunity to make money there. 100% getting into projects that are, you know, building, you know, basically in your face, and they launch these tokens as ways to fund themselves instead of going after investors. They let the people invest. I love that idea, but I do think that it's going to be something that's very risk on, and it hurts a lot of people in the sense of getting into the project that maybe not building, maybe pushing cars up a hill style. You know what I mean? So, if you get my drift there. But yeah, going into RWA and real estate, like a lot of people, think about real estate as just houses, but I see real estate as fences. I see real estate as, potential doors and bathtubs and stuff that like you can potentially buy on sale.
The materials market.
Exactly. And then you have these, I think that's going to be one of the biggest businesses that come out of nowhere is like these vaults that hold these assets for you, these warehouses that hold all these bathtubs and they tokenize them and you're able to trade them. You can potentially make money in real estate market by just going to a marketplace and just buying a bathtub for 300 and selling it for 400, right? In that sense of just make sure and just kind of, I'm bullish. I think, this type of material is kind of hard to buy right now. I think it gets more expensive. Potentially buy up all the bathtubs and just wait for potentially someone needs to come in and buy them and you sell them. So I think there's a lot of markets that are going to come out of the real estate and the RWA situation of making everything liquid, right? I think that's going to be pretty awesome to kind of see in the future. Having these markets that we just go online and say, okay, you purchase everything there. So I think real estate is going to be a lot bigger than just houses, right? It could be pretty much anything. So I'm really excited for that. AI, I already said, really bullish on agent hustle and trading. I think that's going to be the biggest sector of our industry that really blows up because people, we just heard about the guy who got his XRP kind of taken, right? But what there's an AI agent that's sitting there helping you protect your assets. We haven't even seen that yet. An AI agent sitting, basically, you give it permission to basically sit there and say, hey, nothing gets sold from this wallet. If anything even tries, you alert the authorities, right? We haven't seen anything like that before. So I'm really excited. I think we have so much innovation that's coming, especially, in our crypto sector with coins and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, I do want to circle back to one thing that you said because I think you had a great point with that in terms of the materials market with because you don't think about that. When you think about real estate, you just think about asset ownership of, homes or commercial buildings, et cetera, right? But what you said happened in multiple different industries during COVID. So example, let's say that I don't know, this company X, is planning all these building out plans to, have to be a part of their business model, whether it's like distribution or whatever, warehouses, et cetera, right? And if there was a tokenized market of materials, and let's say that they needed specific light bulbs to be able to have the perfect lighting in that warehouse. Someone comes in and they buy up all the RWA digital asset ownerships of those specific light bulbs. They go through all of the suppliers. This is stuff that's going to happen. I think like big money, obviously, they'll see that opportunity. They'll go in, they'll buy, maybe like $50 million worth of it. They own it all up. And then what they can do is leverage that secondary market now, and so that they know company X is worth billions. And so company X will pay a markup. And, even if they make, I don't know, like a 10%, 15%, 20% markup, then they're going to make out like a bandit because they have all of the supplies there. So that's where it's going to be really interesting. And you can do that in so many different ways too. You know what I mean? It's like really just seeing where that weakness is in the market and you take advantage of it. And it doesn't have to be just COVID times, but that's probably whenever some of these big money making opportunities will happen. So that's going to be interesting. And it's going to be fun because if you really learn that market and you can do it from, an office or whatever, and you're just scanning like materials, you can make a lot of money doing that.
100%. And think about this too. What if I build a bridge, right? I get all licensed, I build a bridge, and then I charge cars that drive over it, $1, and that goes to potential token stakers, right? Like you could decentralize a bridge to where a million of people
the toll companies basically do that right now. But obviously, if you could get it legal in terms of the city, and have like a civil engineer and all that stuff to you'd have to have a company to do it. But I mean, it could happen, right?
That's what I'm saying. And imagine we fund that bridge by doing an ICO for that token, but then we stake that token and we get potentially paid the rest of our lives. Right, as long as your token is staked. I mean, there's so much opportunity in tokenization and RWA, like if not just houses. So really excited for that stuff. But yeah, man, let's kind of we'll come back to some categories and stuff later, but let's just kind of jump through some of the stuff I have here. The consumer price index inflation report for September will be published Friday. So we're not getting PPI this month. We're not getting anything else. But they are pushing the CPI out though, right? So that'll be this Friday. Next Wednesday will actually be when Jerome Powell speaks. So that should be really interesting. But the Federal Reserve to hold a conference on Bitcoin and crypto payments tomorrow. They're really going to give the banks basically approval to starting tomorrow and kind of going to put out a full page of what they can and can't do when it comes to crypto payments. So this is two things, in my opinion, that is really, really bullish for crypto. I think the CPI is going to come out way lower than expected, especially because a lot of people feel broke right now because the government layoffs and stuff like that. So I'm curious if these numbers are going to be adjusted a little bit as well later. And then White House Advisor Hackett says government shutdown is likely to end sometime this week. So they are saying we are getting some progress in the Senate right now and trying to figure out that. So these three things could actually propel crypto a lot higher going forward.
It's perfect timing, ain't it? It's to end October, and maybe we get a an uptrend heading out of this month and into November. But yeah. A lot of variables there that can turn this thing around. You know, because I definitely feel like since the Bloody Friday that we had, it was really tough week last week, right? So, and then with CPI, I don't know what the expectations that I have is because I feel like it's really hard to really forecast that right now. But you are right; people feel like they are getting tight. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And they don't want to be just spending on any frivolous type of products, right? So I'm excited to see what comes out with that, but I'm more excited to see like how like Powell is going, or like the Fed, probably a lot of him, how they're going to handle like the banks with the payments and stuff. Because is he going to be a strong arm kind of doesn't want to play ball still? Or is he kind of like, look, I mean, we're at this point. Let's make things. Let's try to get things smooth. Let's just do it the right way to make sure that banks don't get in trouble in terms of like putting themselves in a hard situation. I hope that that's the case, but we'll see. Because with him, it's hard to tell. It's hard to predict how he's going to come out.
Yeah, 100%. One of the rumors that I've heard, and this is just a rumor, that they want to make all stablecoin providers 50%. They have to hold bonds. You have to hold bonds with minimum 50%. So this is something that I'm thinking of. I see Jerome Powell seeing this as a potential way to save the bond market. We do know the bond market's in trouble. There's not a lot of people that are actually saying it, but you are seeing yields kind of get higher and higher. And what that means is normally is when there's a lot of demand for these bonds, you'll see the interest rates kind of drop because that's kind of is. But when the rates go up, that means a lot of people aren't interested, or so you are seeing a lot of the rates kind of get higher and higher. I think the 30 years at 10% right now because nobody's buying it.
Yeah, but that follows the plan that we talked about before too, with stable coins being backed by the bonds, and trying to give bonds more of an attractive look whenever they're trying to auction them, or bringing the consumers back to that really wants to partake in the bond market again, and of course that's supposed to work with the dollar as well. So we'll see if the stablecoin plan plays out.
Yeah, 100%. Really, really kind of excited to kind of see what is going on there. So, but let's move on, Lo. So C is coming. That's the OpenSea token. We actually got one of the co-founders actually came out and he said, he talked a lot about 2021 and stuff like that, but the important part was down here. He said timing. So today the foundation and OpenSea are jointly announcing a few updates. C is coming Q1 of 2026, January, February, March. Distribution, the foundation has confirmed 50% of the supply will be allocated to the community. So the airdrop will be about 50% of the supply, with more than half awarded via initial claim. Both OGs and those who participate in OpenSea rewards program. So if you're somebody who didn't really go after the airdrop hunting after it was announced, but you're somebody who bought NFTs back in 2021 using MetaMask and using OpenSea, you're potentially going to be rewarded heavily, with potentially 25% going to OGs and 25% going to the people who have been farming in a little bit. So I think that's pretty fair, because you are getting the people in the sectors that, potentially, hey, I bought, tens of thousands of dollars worth of, NFTs off OpenSea. I should be rewarded just as well as somebody else who's farming now. So I love this. What's your take?
I wish MetaMask did something like this, because what they did was basically, lay it out pretty, clear as day, saying, hey, look, I think the distribution is a fair distribution, because like OGs, they do get that part, but you got to reward the people that are, active now. And this is a great approach. But again, I wish MetaMask did something like this, because with MetaMask's token, we're still kind of in the dark of who's really going to benefit from that. I mean, yes,
Yeah.
if you do these activities, then you could. You could. This is you will for these people, and then you will for these people, right? So that's what I think more of what we should see from, especially these OG protocols companies that are coming out with the token, because people are excited about that have used them in the past, right? So good job on OpenSea so far. Let's see how the execution works out.
Yeah, 100%. And they said, 50% of the revenue at launch will be used to purchase C. So they're doing a buyback. They want to basically buy back the tokens they airdrop, which is very bullish. The utility for C will deeply be integrated with OpenSea, including the ability to stake C behind your favorite tokens and collections. So you'll obviously they have an aggregator now. They're aggregating pretty much BNB, Solana, and places like that. So you'll be able to use their aggregation that they're going to be dropping and have dropped so far. But you will also potentially stake it and you earn fees. So this is kind of like kind of like a dividend almost.
Yeah, I mean that part's awesome, and I want to see more of that as well, right? Like the kind of reward right away, especially with the established brands. I think that's big, and so I think more of this that happens, and if the dividends type of approach here, let's say it goes 6 months of really successful, then you start to attract bigger money and say, oh, okay, let me learn about OpenSea. Oh, they've been around since 2020 or 20 whatever, and then you get some bigger participants in our space.
Yeah, 100%. This is exciting. If you're chasing this, let us know in the comments. If you're actually somebody who is farming this, I'd love to know your what your goal is there. So really excited to kind of talk about that a little bit later. Let's jump to the next thing here, which is really exciting. Anatoly and this is a tweet from us here. So it's something I saw on the timeline. So Anatoly breaking. Anatoly had just dropped. What is this? Percolator? Percolator? Is it called the Percolator? I don't know. A brand new sharded Perp DEX being built on Solana. So the Percolator is something Anatoly is doing. Anatoly, so basically he didn't even announce this. He just dropped it on GitHub, and it seems really exciting. What do you think about the Percolator and these CEOs, which this is something Jeff called on our show way back, that he said he thinks that, a lot of these chains leaders are going to get involved with Perp DEX, and you're seeing Anatoly do it right now.
Yeah, I mean, this is big. Solana demands a lot of volume. And so I think that they're looking at these perp DEX as a way to get more liquidity in the ecosystem as well, right? So Jupiter probably doesn't feel great about that. Some of these, I think Jupiter's the main perps, leveraged on Solana, but they're not really known everywhere for that only, right? Because they're a DEX, and you can swap and stuff there and add LP. But not surprised, Solana is a big brand, so they probably want a big branded, perps and leverage application. So to me also, this is another sign that pretty much we're all moving on chain, because it's like now it's kind of like, okay, so every prominent chain has to have this DEX application that's kind of, it's on chain, but it's like the hyperliquid model, right? It's like, okay, let's get volumes up here. We'll get participants that will create more volume for the ecosystem over here. And right now, we talked about the market cap of our entire space is pretty much the size of what gold moved up, you know, the past since August. Like the reason why I think a lot of these chains feel like there, you know, has to be one person in the spotlight at a time is just because of how big our market cap is right now. It's not huge. Like 1% of gold's move, you know what I mean? Or 1% of gold's market cap. But we will grow. And, you know, once we grow, as we grow, you have stuff like that. So people are going to look at, okay, you know, they have a Perp DEX attached to that chain, or, you know, that's prominent for that chains. And I think that's whenever we'll probably like maybe like 5 years down the road, we'll see that liquidity is healthier across the board of the prominent chains.
Yeah, 100%. And we're seeing, you know, Aster basically come out and say that they're going to be forking BNB, creating the Aster chain so they don't clog up the BNB network and cause gas fees heavy. So you are seeing potentially Aster will be a, you know, a layer 2 on top of BNB chain. Do you think Anatoly does the same thing here where he creates this as its own L2 on top of Solana?
I do think that, because I think I read somewhere else that he's already looking at like bridging options into this kind of side or chain app type of situation. So I think that it's going to be like known for each chain's going to have their, you know, everybody's going to know what the Perp DEX is. It's kind of like, you know, in 2020, 2021, 2022, we all knew who the main DEX was for the popular chains, right? And so I think that's what we're going into. But this is a little bit more commercialized, I feel like this time, because I think people are coming into the space, not necessarily retail running over here, but it's like preparing for, like, you know, this is just going to be a part of infrastructure, I feel like.
Yeah, 100%. I think, you know, I think it's smart too. I love that way of doing it, because you don't want to clog up Solana to where you're worried about, you know, these other businesses who want to use it being like, you know what, it's always so clogged up because of the debt, you know, this liquidity pools and stuff like that. So, you know, it's the best thing to do if you are expecting a lot of volume, which I think the Solana one Perp DEX will get, because Solana is easily the most liquid chain out there right now, because it's just so fast and you got so many more users. So I think this is absolutely amazing. I love the L2. I think narrative for a lot of these chains to kind of push forward. All right, I got something with PlanB. It's a little bit of a read here, but I'm gonna kind of push through it here. But he's basically saying on here that he says bears think that 126 was the top, but Bitcoin will fall below 100K, and 26 will be a bear market mainly because of the 4-year cycle. In my opinion, that's a big misunderstanding. Yes, there's a 4-year halving cycle that doubles stock to flow ratio, and 6 months before until 18 months after. Was a very profitable last 3 cycles, but 3 cycles is not enough for a reliable pattern, and it's absolutely not guaranteed that the top is again 18 months after halving. So this is basically saying what we've been saying for a long time here. He doesn't believe that, you know, the old halving is going to be the normal for going forward. He thinks that this cycle is going to be a lot different, and a lot of it is due to his data. And as you can see here, we haven't seen any bit of this red yet. He basically feels like we're just entering the back end of the green phase, and we haven't even entered the upward yellow phase yet, or orange. So this is the RSI, is how you kind of get there. And he's kind of expecting us to really kind of start moving forward here in the next like 6 months. Very similar to my, you know, sell in May and go away factor, where I think the top's going to be in May. But how do you feel about PlanB coming out and basically saying, hey, this time is different?
I mean, it's obviously been different this year, this bull market year, right? So, and I think that kind of aligns also with a little bit of what Jake Gallen was saying. You know, his was 4th of July, you know, and around that time period. Yours is right before that. So you guys are pretty much in the same thought process with that. So look, I could see that happening, right? And it does. Obviously, it's gonna look very different on his chart as well. You know, it's gonna be stretched out more. But what does that mean for Q4? What does that mean for, you know, Q1 of next year? You know, maybe we have some bullish moments to close this year out. Next Q1 might be just a little bit tame, and then, you know, build up right up until before summer or something. I don't know. It's one thing I will say is that this bull run year has made it more, I guess, like, just kind of wanting to stay away from forecasting in the short term.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's like, you know, so easy to swing and miss on that, you know? So it sometimes it's good to, you know, when you're going into uncharted territories, just to kind of sit there, learn what's happening here, and take the data for the next time that we're kind of in that situation. Okay, this is a new way of doing things.
Yeah. 100%. His like, you know, his point though was that, you know, the bears are wrong. A lot of the bears are coming out and saying, hey, we had our top, you know, October 6th was the top. Congratulations to everyone sold. And, you know, it's a lot of the Bitcoin maxis coming out saying that, right? So it's not really just like us in the altcoins are like, what Bora? What are you talking about? You know what I mean? The maxis are like, hey, we were at, you know, 69K 4 years ago, and now we're at 120. That we're happy with that, because, you know, a lot of them have, you know, hundreds of Bitcoin, so they're very happy with that. But PlanB saying, even to the maxi, saying, yeah, you're wrong if you think October 6th was the top.
Yeah, and they don't care. They probably would love the fact that if we didn't have an alt season, because they're like, well, then people won't sell Bitcoin down, and plus they don't deserve it, and all these things, you know, because they think that they're better than everybody. And so, yeah, I'm in that boat though. I think that those people that are calling the top are wrong. That's my opinion. I've been wrong in the past, you know, so it's okay if they're wrong. But I you know, especially the people that think that like we're not going to get any type of momentum in Q4. I think that's completely wrong. But as of right now, you know, some of them look good with what they've said because of, you know, two Fridays ago, and then last week. But that to me is more of a clearing out of over leveraged positions, and, you know, a little bit of that, you know, I feel like it's a little bit of psyop too, kind of heading in Q4. But the people that you know have their conviction and are in the positions that they feel really strong about, with, you know, good fundamentals with whatever project it is, I think that we will have our moment or moments in Q4.
Yeah, 100%. And what the maxis want to do too, they want to sell October 6th and buy next September, right, for the next cycle. That's kind of how it normally is, right? They want us to kind of drop back to 69K so they can repurchase their bags that they sold, right? So they can make up for the next bull run. But they're all going to be sitting on a sideline, in my opinion, when Bitcoin hits, you know, 300-400. I mean, I'm still thinking it's going to hit 700K. I really do. I just think that Bitcoin has a lot of catching up to do here, especially to gold and the money supply. And I think that does happen. I think it does happen when we get QE. So for me, I'm waiting for QE to really start digging in and, you know, getting really excited. And I think that does come very shortly. So
agreed.
All right, let's get into some DATs. There's only 2 DATs that are buying. Can you name the 2?
I would say BitMine and MicroStrategy.
Yep, you got it. So they're the only 2 still buying. BitMine Immersion Technology, or BMNR, announced approximately 200,000 Ethereum the past week. They bought they bought another 200 million, so they're sitting on about 1.3 billion. And then Strategy has acquired 168 Bitcoin for 18 million. So they have to buy just to buy. This is their couch cushion Bitcoin, but they purchased around 112 of last week, so they didn't get the low. But Strategy now holds about 640,000 Bitcoin acquired for $47 billion, so around 74,000 per Bitcoin. So really, really awesome to kind of see these 2 companies still buying, because these are the 2 bullish people that I've ever saw on CNBC. Michael Saylor being for Bitcoin, and you know, Tom Lee being for Ethereum. So what do you think about, you know, we're not seeing Metaplanet, we're not seeing SharpLink. How do you feel about that when just kind of seeing the biggest players in the game?
If they're just taking a little break, I'm okay. But I think if we see Tom Lee and Saylor ever like get in a situation, I think we got to be really concerned, right? So I think they both know that too. And now they represent the top 2 market caps, right, in our space. So I want to see SharpLink and Metaplanet get into a position to where they don't necessarily have to be super aggressive with purchasing, but, like, you know, get back into the headlines every once in a while about acquiring some, you know, here and there. But I think we're in an okay situation right now. We don't want it to get to one of those top 2 there.
Yeah, I agree. Keep buying, Mike. Keep buying, Tom, and just we'll see you guys in Valhalla. But the last thing before Crypto Fear and Greed, multiple platforms including Reddit, Hulu, EA. So any Madden players out there are very upset this morning. Max and Xbox Network experienced simultaneous outages early today, according to down detector. So basically what is happening right now is Coinbase, you can't buy or sell anything right now. They're down because AWS. Do you think it's time for us to get a decentralized version of this, right? Like something that doesn't go down with AWS, or even maybe a backup for Coinbase? I mean, RadFi is actually having trouble too. So it's one of those things where it is affecting some crypto companies as well. But how do you feel about us still using AWS at this point and not really going off on the decentralized area?
I'm not sure what that would look like in terms of setting that up, like infrastructure wise and all that stuff, right?
Look like Helium, to where people are running these nodes from their houses and earning tokens.
Yeah, okay. And obviously AWS doesn't want to do that, right? Because they're making buku
Yeah.
money doing it the way that they do it, corporate structure. But yeah, I do think so. I do think that, and I think that was one of the projects that we had on from Cardano has been working on this for a while. So
Yep.
if that's something that we can really have that's solid, then of course that's going to make these type of situations better, right? But that's a world that I can't imagine right now, because it's kind of like you're borrowing storage space from individual people, right? And obviously they're earning, but it would be awesome if it could be a solid option, even a backup, like you said, maybe start as a backup.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think Amazon should look into this, right? Because let's just say the whole West Coast hits a blackout, right? At least everything else is still working in the sense of if your data center is out west, you're not too worried, right? Obviously, AWS wants to put data centers in different portions of the world, but right now their biggest one is in the West. So I think that imagine something happens here, but you're able to take using the data centers from all over the world, right? People just hosting these miners, and they're incentivized to do so because they'll take their tokens, they'll stake their tokens inside the validator. So they need that to stay up and live because they don't want their token value to drop, right? So they're incentivized to kind of keep the network up because of their token value. I think it's the perfect thing. And I think AWS is going to be something, I'm not talking 5 years, I'm talking 10 years, 20 years down the line, where AWS is kind of, either doing it themselves or their biggest competitor is millions of people.
Yeah, well, let's see it. I'm here for it. Because if you think about that, first of all, that's a big part of our infrastructure of information technology, that has always been about a huge company that makes billions of dollars providing that type of service, right? And now if we go into this decentralized approach, I think there's going to be they're probably already happening, because TradFi's in our space. They're scratching their head and saying, okay, so because like companies can still benefit from that, by the way, because what you do is you set up, your storage that you're offering, and they can do it at scale, right? So they can earn a large percentage of this token or whatever is going back. The thing is you're leaving that door open for individuals. So that's the cool part. But then what other sectors can be decentralized, right? And I think that's where, that's where you come in. Because I mean, look, it happened with the Bitcoin miner industry, right? So it started off with people like me and you and Satoshi, and saying, hey, look, this is how it works. All you do, you have a laptop, oh, you can earn a lot of Bitcoin. Now we're at a point to where you have conglomerates, like huge corporations that run it, right? And so are there individual miners? Yes, we hear about the lotto that gets popped off once every like three weeks. Someone earns 3 Bitcoin off of their little, the Bitcoin miner. So it can really carry over into different parts of our world.
Yeah, and I think data centers, like I kind of want to open my own data center. Like that's kind of one of because it is, dude. Like think about that. Like when we get to a world of that, and I just have a couple of this running Helium. I have a couple running. I mean, even Bitcoin miners, like you said, just try to hit the lottery. But then I have a couple that are doing some tile stuff. And imagine having like 50 computers in like a maybe buying a building somewhere, and just that's what the building does. You have no employees. You go in every day, you make sure everything's running. Maybe you have one guy to kind of be a tech guy and oversee any type of hardware issues and stuff like that. And that's really it. And then these buildings, they run by themselves, and you just come in and you see your crypto value going up every day. I mean, that is the business that I would love to run in the future. I think they're going to be the most sought after businesses out there, because when AI kind of takes over, AI can't really do that, right? That's one job AI really can't do is basically fund all these storage companies and make sure they run daily.
Yeah, and well, and then your employee costs too could be really managed very well because, like I said, you'll probably have AI working in the facility, but then you have like the human managers and stuff. So
yeah, and basically for the hardware part of it, I mean that's the biggest. You want to make sure your hardware is up and running, and if there's any issues, you want to get that back online as soon as possible. I mean that's the guy that you really want. So
absolutely,
and they're going to be very, but who knows if a Tesla robot's going to be able to do that, right? So.
Crazy.
It's scary world. But let's get into today's crypto fear and greed here. So last week we were at a 40. Yesterday we're at 27. We're a little bit higher than yesterday's 27. Want to take a crack at it?
28, 29.
Pretty much. You're right
okay.
there. 30 seeing fear. Not happy seeing this because I thought yesterday was very bullish. I don't know. I was watching the price action yesterday because my fantasy football team was dying, and I was like, I can't look at this no more. So I started doing some crypto stuff, and I was very excited with the price action. Apparently, we're still in fear. I don't believe this from the bottom of my soul. I do not believe that we're in fear. But looking at today's numbers, maybe we are. What do you think?
I think we're in fear. Yeah,
okay.
Probably for a little bit longer. Because it wasn't just a regular tariff tweet. It was at first, and then it got really, really bloody really quick and manipulation. We all know the story. We went over it on the show, but I do think that Jeff was right on it's going to take a couple weeks to get through that part, right? So, and I think that's what we're going through right now. I think that score does relax a bit by the end of this week. Look, I mean, 20 days zoomed by in October, right? Really so it's like, and it was like a crazy story. It was like, okay, things are good. Oh, this is the worst day of our lives. And then, and now we're kind of like, okay, so when are we going to bounce back? So we got about 11 days left in this month, and that's enough time in crypto to completely reverse the sentiment. But it might take, at least half of those 11 days for us to really start getting over what happened.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I'm hoping you can actually tell us where it's going. So let's get into the Bitcoin price action and crypto bubbles. Let's jump right into it.
Let's do it. I'm gonna bring up the Bitcoin chart for the hour chart like I always do. But before we do that, guys, help us out on the YouTube side. Smash that like for us. X is like off of being on X today. I see everybody's just like all the live streams are getting hit today. I guess maybe people are just part of that week, right? Part of that week that they need to kind of just get away and clear their mind. But help us out on X as well. Share the space, guys. It helps us a ton when you do that. On YouTube, sub if you're not subbed, and turn your notifications on, all that great stuff. And then on what is it, the abstract as well. I know like servers are kind of still down with the AWS thing. So if you are on there, we appreciate you guys everywhere from Twitch, Rumble, Kick, all the great platforms are. Let's get into some Bitcoin price action. And starting with the hour chart, it doesn't look bad, but I am a little bit worried that we are like coming to exhaustion here. I mean, you can see we've been in buy pressure all the way going back from Friday at 9 a.m. on the hour chart, right? So, obviously this is kind of being a bit of a rebound from last week. As you can see, we did not handle last week very well at all. This was obviously the Friday, doomsday, the day that we will probably always remember, and then try to get some momentum back. It just didn't work. And then we had, this downward trend that did kind of chill out at the, Friday heading into the weekend. And so we'll see if we can build some positive momentum. I mean, this is kind of perfectly set up here for a trend reversal, but we definitely need to see a continuation, or when we do go back into sell pressure, it just not being very strong. We shall see. It's interesting. A couple of people, trading leverage, James Nguyen, he's promising the world that we're going to 60,000 and gets liquidated again. The guy just that's his thing. He likes being liquidated, I guess. But yeah, so what we need to see, in my opinion, because I think what we're going to do, we're probably most likely going to go into sell pressure here. But how aggressive will the sell pressure be, right? Some sideways action would be perfect right now, and that meaning going from where we were at the top, the local top here at 4 a.m. Central Time, to maybe like, just sideways down, going to like 109, and then back and forth a little bit before we officially get confirmation for that trend reversal. So I'm that's how I'm kind of looking at it today. I'm not playing that. I haven't been playing Bitcoin leverage for a while because I just kind of want to see, once we get in that confirmation bullish environment. But right now I feel like, especially in the hour chart. So 2, 4, 6 hours from now, probably some chop. So if you're great at scalping, you might like what you're going to see in the next 2, 4, 6, 8 hours. But if you don't have the discipline for that, I would just keep observing. So that is what I'm thinking for Bitcoin on the hour chart. The 4-hour chart looks like it's getting broken down a little bit as well, the buy pressure. If we do see, on the previous chart, so, getting bullish again to the upside, obviously this will keep, back open. But like I said, I do expect some chop on that 1 hour. So this will probably close up here in the next day or so. But if not, then that's a good sign. Maybe it just, stays a little bit stagnant on the 4-hour, while on the 1 hour it keeps going back and forth and eventually goes back up, and then we can break this open. That definitely can happen as well. So that is what I'm seeing for Bitcoin on the 1 hour and 4 hour. So nothing too much to worry about, but I am thinking we probably go down a little bit just to kind of start that back and forth chop a little bit. And some more consolidation as well for Bitcoin. But the daily chart is something that I have really been focused on, and you guys know that, because like I said, if when in doubt, zoom out a bit and go to the daily chart. And so this was completely just all red last week, and it was basically created the continuation of the sell down activity that we saw. Now we're starting to see this break down a little bit. So this is starting to get into a position that I really like, but not ready yet. I'm not ready to, I'm not convinced just yet to, get into a long position or anything like that. Need to see some more conviction build up, meaning, feel like we're about to go into buy pressure momentum either in that next 1 to 3 days, and we're just not there yet. But we are seeing progress here. So that's definitely a good sign. Just in my opinion, keep your eye on this chart to see if we can, get that conviction that most of us are looking for here. So that's Bitcoin on the hour, 4-hour, and daily chart. So we're getting there. We're just not there yet for the trend reversal, in my opinion. Our consistent trend reversal. And Ethereum is going to be very similar to this, as I've been saying. This in basically the past 2 weeks, right? The hour chart for Ethereum, we are in a little bit of sell pressure. It's very, very weak though. So kind of waiting and seeing if it is going to continually follow Bitcoin, and waiting for Bitcoin to make that first big move is what I'm thinking, right? So in my opinion, nothing to worry about here. Also wouldn't touch this right now at all. Same mentality as Bitcoin for me with Ethereum. Wait until I get that confirmation on the daily to really feel like, okay, we're going to switch trend here very soon in the next 1 to 3 days. 4-hour, similar situation. Looks like it's broken down a little bit for the buy pressure. So we'll see if Bitcoin kind of reacts to kind of chop and then starts that upward trend maybe in the middle of this week, then we'll see something like that happen for Ethereum as well. So that's what I'm seeing for both Bitcoin and Ethereum. The crypto bubbles, let's take a look at the top 100 here. So the alts are bouncing back, so that is a good sign. So they're following Bitcoin, Ethereum. Both of those have bounced back for sure. Some, but we'll see if we can get that continuation. And Co-AI basically took a day off today because it had been extremely green for the entire last week. So, for you guys taking your profit, that's what it seems like. Big whale positions probably taking their profit. Congratulations, because you guys made a buttload of money, which is not easy to come by this in this alt market at least. And then you see some notable stuff like Floki. By the way, Elon Musk decided, hey, I'm going to mess with the crypto guys and tweet about Floki for some odd reason, and basically pumped it, that 30% there. But congratulations to the Floki people that have been bag holders for a very long time. So yeah, so stuff like that, right? Hex bouncing back 11.2% here. Chainlink up 8.6%. SPX pulling up 3.7%. You got Crypto.com Crow up 5.5%. Aerodrome pulling up 4.6%. Immutable X up 3.4% there. Near Protocol up 2.1. HBAR up 4.4%. Aptos up 2.4. XDC up 5.6. And you got Pump Fund token up 3.2. So Pump Fund did something with their tokens. They basically blocked the trading bots pre-bond. So the trading bots can't get in pre-bond. So if you have an Axiom account and stuff like that, you're no longer able to do that. So you got to log in with a wallet on their website. So that, I will say, I commend them for that, because it kind of brings a little bit of, fair game kind of back to some of the newbies. But we'll see if that really helps some of these market caps start to grow, because the pre-bond is really when those snipers get in, and they're buying 32 million supply token for maybe $1,000 or something like that, and you've already messed the tokenomics up tremendously at that point, right? Not saying that you can't do that, you can still do it with a wallet, but you're more worried about getting front ran. And I guess you aren't, because everybody else is going to be using that the same way. So we'll see how that plays out, though, because it's going to be very, very interesting. Tau pulling back 3.3% there. Doge pulling up 1.8%. So good pull back up for the market. Looks like it's around 3 to 5% on average. The top 200 here. Kind of the same story, a little bit more red in the top 200. You see stuff like Falcon Finance pulling up 11.7%, EHEX pulling up 13.6%, Starknet pulling up 16.3%. You got Dashcoin pulling up 9.2%. Man, haven't heard Dash in a while. Merlin up 3.2% as well. Where are they sitting at? Sitting at 33 cents there. Okay. Jasmy up 4.3%. Dog Whiff up 3.9%. So even the memes are pulling up a little bit. So good signs for the crypto bubble, and some pretty good starts, in my opinion, for Bitcoin and Ethereum as well. But definitely want to see some continuation and get out of the sell pressure on the daily chart. That is one thing I am for sure watching.
Yeah, 100%. I can't believe I missed the Elon news. I didn't even know he did that with Floki. I got to look into that.
Yeah.
And I missed the Pump Fund news. I'm kind of mad at myself for they're two big things. I don't know why no one's talking about either of those things.
Because the trenches have been kind of tame in a sense, and both of those situations. Well, the Pump Fund one, I think it was talked about a little bit late last week, and so going into the weekend, it was easy to kind of get lost in the mix. And then the Elon thing was yesterday.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So people that are true degenerates were the ones that caught it. I think that are still trading meme coins.
Gotcha. And you mentioned PLS is up, Hex is up. You know why they're up? It's really stupid. So Richard Hart moved the one wallet he has. So he has one wallet with the Sacrifice wallet. It had like a couple $1 billion in Ethereum. He moved 500 billion to like 10 different wallets. So people are thinking that he's going to come in with that ETH and just bridge it all to Pulse Chain and then just purchase and burn up all the PLS, all the Hex and stuff like that. Potentially hundreds of millions of dollars just dumping into those tokens. I don't know if it's true or not, but that is what kind of people are saying. He's going to use that he's going to wait for bullish times and then just come into the market and just buy and burn up all of his own tokens.
Wow. Do you think he's going to do something like that?
I mean, he has billions of dollars sitting in ETH, right? And then people just gave him, right, for the sacrifice. So people are thinking like, hey, he's finally going to do what he promised. But Richard Hart is he doesn't do things on a whim, right? He does things. He's very calculated. Don't give him a lot of credit for how good he actually is. But let's jump into the next thing here, which is roll call. Where we take the first comment of the show and we put it on a spreadsheet. That first comment of the day was my man from the dog community. Shout out to Hydro Sapien, the legend himself. He says, let's go. He got his third win of the year. Congratulations to you, my friend. Followed by Tim Baker, AOD Art himself. And then we have Hydro Sapien again. He said, never giving up on TK and Dog. My man. ASAP Benji is here. Shout out to ASAP Benji. OnePlus At is here. Mr. Hanky says, let's up and go. Back for the holidays. Time to pimp. The legend himself. Shout out to Mr. Hanky, the Christmas poo. WebDro says 9 hours left to get above the 20-week EMA. That was yesterday, so that was going into weekly close. I wonder how that closed, WebJoe. If you don't mind us letting us know. WebJoe says the weekly close below. Okay, feels like a trap. So he's saying potentially bear trap. Rare Sats Dom says bear trap. Bitcoin is truth is here, abstract, and we got my man Lackey Lukey is here. Shout out to you, my friend. Followed by Chips and Dip. He said, "What's up, guys? Excited for green." It was exciting to wake up to some green today. I'm not gonna lie. And yesterday, Spindrift says excited for the next couple of weeks. Followed by Vader Time. K99 is here. Glass Hopper, my guy. Appreciate you, my friend. Hydro Sapien again. We got Ant-Man in the building. First time in a while. Appreciate you being here today, sir.
Ant-Man.
Stan says Ant-Man. And we have Stan says 700K. Chief Axel is here. Patty Poo, the Bitcoin machine himself, gives us a sup. Stan says, wow, diving into Hex. Yeah, it's kind of exciting if you hold Hex there. And then Mogar the Great says, crazy times. Biden floods the country with working age people. Trump reversing it all in a short, unnatural time. At the same time, AI is old enough to do damage and rate cuts equal asset super cycle. I mean, that's what a lot of people are saying. A lot of people are saying it is not the time to be bearish. Like assets in general are going to be jacked up in prices while everything else is the dollar, gold, and stuff like that kind of get hit. So we'll see what happens with Bitcoin, but I think Bitcoin kind of goes the ladder, and that's kind of what you're seeing right now. It's kind of going against the grain, against the M2, against gold. So I think there's a lot of catching up to happen. And Mogar finishes up with get ready for a wage pump. Well, that's something we have never seen, right? I mean, I think we saw it during COVID, but very, very rare, very, very rare. But yeah, man. All right. It's time to get into our next segment here. So every single Monday, we're lucky enough to have the amazing Jeff, bitmap.tech himself. So Merlin Chain has been one of the outliers of this downtrend. The strength has been insane. And, they posted over the weekend that they've been doing buybacks for a very long time. They're just, they're not out there marketing it. So that was awesome to see. And we saw a pump come from that. But not only that, they were a part of the Binance Alpha program. And Binance surprised everyone with an airdrop of the MERL token. But the part of that's really exciting is the MERL token did not sell off. It had really, really amazing strength. Normally what happens when you have that big of an airdrop, you see sell pressure down 10-15%. We didn't see any sell pressure on the MERL token. So what they're doing over there on MERL is very, very amazing. So really appreciate the time Jeff's given us today. So without further ado, let's bring in Jeff. Jeff, welcome back to OnChain Revolution. Thanks so much for being here, sir.
Yeah, sorry. Still eating some snacks. I haven't had dinner tonight. But
no worries.
Yeah, good night, guys. Guys, yeah. And so how's it going? Yeah, just one not relevant question. How was the game?
Yeah. So I'll tell you this. It was exciting. It was new. The Austin race was historically the largest attendance, and I was just really shocked with that. I guess I got lucky. I went to the largest historical attendance race in F1 history. The cool part was learning how it works, and when people really start to get focused. Obviously, in the start, you kind of see who gets that lead, and then towards the end, the last, I would say 5 to 10 laps, people really start to see. And there was a really cool maneuver that happened with Norris kind of passing Leclerc at the end there. Oh, I'm sorry if you didn't watch it yet. I ruined it. But that's he got that place. But and learning about the culture, man, it was just crazy how the fanatics they're crazy about their race car drivers and teams.
Yeah, I actually stay very late. I think the game started 3 a.m. here. Watched the whole game till 6 a.m. and wake up again this morning, for the work thing. So yeah, a pretty tired day for me. But yeah, I'm glad you love it.
Yeah, definitely. I want to get a little bit closer next time, but I found a good spot, and I think that's the trick too. Is if you do the general mission, is finding that good spot to where you can see a good turn or a good straightaway. And so we luckily had some experienced people with us, but Yeah. One thing I want to ask you about is the Web3 presence at those events. You know, I saw OKX was there. You got Bybit. I was kind of shocked to see them there. Of course, the crypto.coms and Kraken starting to have a presence there. Why do you think that, you know, the digital asset space is kind of focused on advertising in this type of industry?
Yeah, I mean, before 23, actually, they have like much bigger exposure in F1. To be honest, right now it actually like dialed down a bit because you know, those companies just don't want to spend, you know, millions of dollars on, you know, sports. But before, yeah, before I think yeah, Bybit, I think they're on Red Bull, and now it's like Gate. It's actually Gate on Red Bull like this year, I'm guessing, and OKX is on McLaren. I think Binance is on Alpine, and you know, Crypto.com, Kraken, like all of that. I think, you know, F1 is actually, you know, one of the highest like viewership around the world. In US, it's probably just like start, but you know, like any F1 game has a higher viewership than NBA Final. If I, you
Wow.
know, remember that right. So there are like over like, you know, 200, 300 million people like watching the game around the world, and that's how, you know, all these exchanges trying to expand their market, because, you know, in US, in China, in, you know, Korea, it's like pretty, you know, developed. But if you look at, you know, all these, you know, countries in like in Europe, like, you know, France, Germany, and Turkey, and also, you know, in South America, in Southeast Asia, in Australia. So there are like lots of viewers watching F1 because the drivers are coming from different countries, like, you know, from Argentina, one from Brazil, one from, you know, China, one from Thailand, you know, from Australia, you know, Piastri. So yeah, the drivers are from different countries, the viewers are from different countries. That's how they expand the market. But, you know, just imagine if you do sponsorship, like if Binance doing sponsorship on, you know, NBA team, like, you know, Golden State Warrior, it doesn't really help them because, you know, it only goes to like US viewers mostly. And also because in US, Coinbase kind of dominates the market.
Yeah, 100%. And like staying on the topic a little bit, why do you think you know, the East doesn't really do a lot of marketing? You're not really seeing, you know, back when the Super Bowl stuff was happening, you saw FTX, you saw Coinbase, a lot of the, you know, the Western companies. Why do you think the East doesn't really market to the West much?
I think they do. Probably, probably when you see them, you just you know, haven't noticed, because I know in UFC, VeChain. I don't know if you guys know the project. VeChain is the
Yeah.
biggest sponsor for UFC. They're the biggest.
I didn't know they were East based.
Oh, they're founded in Shanghai. I know they're founded in, yeah. So sometimes you just don't know. Like, you know, they are the
Yeah.
biggest sponsor. They were, I think they were the biggest sponsor for UFC, like $30 million a year kind of stuff. So yeah, I think, you know, they actually do that, and I think they just don't want to target US because US is more, you know, like I don't know, like regulations and stuff. But they
Yeah.
definitely do. Like if you look at like Premier League, if you look at like, you know, all these, you know, soccer leagues in Europe, they do.
Gotcha. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I remember Dana White came out and said he owns one cryptocurrency that's VeChain. And I was like, I wonder why he owns that's kind of random, right? But it's probably because they're one of the biggest sponsors. So, yeah, you're right. Maybe it is. Maybe we just don't notice as much and don't really look into it, but 100%. I want to get into the next thing. So, Binance, you guys were part of the alpha program. You knew that airdrop was coming. They shocked you a little bit and dropped it over the last couple of days. Can you talk about that experience a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, they don't usually tell you, you know, at all before they do any airdrop. But we know we have some tokens with them, so they airdropped the tokens first $1 million to the user who traded before, and $500,000 for the users who traded for the next 2 to 4 weeks. And it gives you 400% points. So if you trade another token, you get only, you know, 1 point. But if you trade MERL token, you get 4 points. So they give you extra 4 more time points on trading MERL. So I think, you know, in general, it's good for us. You know, it can get more users for us. I think the $1 million go to about like 20-30K users, which is, you know, pretty good. So we get more 20-30,000 more holders. I know, you know, many of them will just dump it. I think that's fine too, but it just gets more users to have your token and to trade your token. It's definitely good marketing. And I'm kind of worried, before they do the airdrop, I thought, the price might go down because 1.5 million, like sell pressure will be high, for most altcoins these days. And also because we have the vesting for investors, ecosystem, all of that every 19th of the month, which is like 2 days ago. So yeah, we are afraid, the vesting and the airdrop might hurt the price a little bit. But I think it shows MERL token is still hanging there. Actually, went up a little bit. Yeah. So yeah, like 19. I think 18th was the airdrop. 19 was the vesting for investors. So yeah, it's okay. It's not that bad. And we are always looking, to do all kinds of activities with marketings with different exchanges. I think right now we're trying to do staking with Korean exchanges. So because in Korea, the Korean users love to hold the token and also stake to earn yields, because like they don't want to flip every day, not like everyday crypto traders in China or US. They like to hold and stake for more yields. So that's what we're trying to do with them. We're trying to do with more campaigns with other exchanges as well. I think more news will come up.
Nice. And it seems like, we don't have to get deep into it, but you kind of finished that statement, but saying that, you're going to create more opportunities outside of just the centralized exchanges. Obviously, like whenever those opportunities come, you can assess that. But maybe, the staking approach or these other kind of how can we give back to the users could be something that's really beneficial. I think Hyperliquid did a good job with kind of doing their buybacks. You guys said that you guys have been doing it on and off. But if let's say I'm a new project and I want my token to have strength during sell pressure periods and stuff, what's a tip that you can maybe give them to establish something like that, because it's hard?
Yeah, I don't want to make a general answer that doesn't help at all, because I can always do build a project, build a community, all that bullshit. I think they're right, but like it doesn't help, because everyone knows you should build your project, build your community, like you get listed more. Like if somebody tell me to get listed more, like I'll be like, yeah, of course, but like how? So my first advice will be definitely have revenue for your project, because having revenue is something can keep you like building for a longer time. Imagine you're working for a company that you love, but you have zero salary. Like you won't work there anymore because you don't get paid. It's the same thing as a builder. So if you get revenue, continuously, you have more faith in your project, and you probably want to deliver more for your community. So having revenue, and you don't even need your buyback. Just having revenue is good at first, and then you can think of like how should I spend my revenue? Like how should I spend my profits? Building better products. Doing some buybacks. Paying some exchanges to get listed, which is people know that you have to pay to get listed somehow. So yeah, I think that's the first priority you need to get, because on this cycle we don't see a crazy off season like last time. And second is know your user, because sometimes there are many people buying your stuff. Like remember, like 2 years ago, people are buying ordinals, right? But right now, probably 99% of the holders are gone, like not talking about it. So if you're building a project, you want to build that for a longer time, you must know who is your actual user, who's your actual holder that can like on your team for like over a year. And just try to do your best to make them happy, to make them have faith in you. I think that's kind of that's like the community you want to have, because you can see many people shilling tokens on Twitter all the time, but those users might not be the ones you want to like have in your core community.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's some great advice there for sure. And it's something that you guys do as well. Like, there's a big thing right now with this flywheel effect. I think Hyperliquid really kind of started this narrative. But you guys came out over the weekend and basically said we've been doing this for a while. We just don't announce it. Can you get into that a little bit about the buyback program that you guys have and had?
Yeah, because like I think we said that a couple of times last year as well, but we don't want to make this like a specific obligation on us, because if we're having such revenue like hyper liquid, yeah, for sure. But at first we don't know how much revenue and profits we'll be getting from the BTC5 thing. So when we don't know that for sure, if we announce that, that would be just an empty promise. Just saying, like, if I'm a billionaire, I would donate half of that to charity, like that kind of stuff, because you're not making that money at that moment. So we're making some money, like sometimes it's pretty good, sometimes it's pretty bad. So it has been like on and off, but now we have a steady revenue, and we actually use that revenue to buy back token since last year after our TGE. So right now we are more confident to tell our community that okay, we're doing that. We'll be showing more like money transfers on chain, off chain, withdrawing like all these tokens, because when you see the tokens, like only only like few percent, like 5% of the circulation is in the exchanges. I don't know that number like exactly, but like very, very low ratio of the token is in exchanges. So like why? Yeah, just because we constantly do the buybacks and withdraw them on chain and to do the staking, and that's what happens. So yeah, we'll try our best to make this process more transparent. We'll try our best to disclose more details into that, as long as we feel comfortable and confident, because we're just having like positive revenues right now. But who knows? After 6 months, might BTC5 be like proven not working anymore? Who knows? But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think that's the way to do it, and it's because like you gave a great example. If there's like the flywheel effect that Hyper had was because they had the DEX, Perp DEX. They actually changed the Perp DEX industry, and so they were able to do that. But whenever the way that the strategy that you have, it's kind of like a pleasant surprise, right? Because now you're like, okay, that's what's given that strength to the price action over there. But you predicted not like right or anything, but you did say you feel like it was going to take a couple of weeks for the space to absorb what happened 2 Fridays ago on Bloody Friday, and I think you're right, because this last week, Sunday seemed like the buyback bounce back was happening, and then Monday kind of started okay, and then all of a sudden all last week was kind of downtrend until Friday, where we were able to find some footing. Do you still feel like we got probably like another week left, and maybe like get out of October okay, and maybe the rest look forward to?
Yeah, I think we still need more details with what's going on like 2 weeks ago, because right now we are seeing more and more evidence every day. Who's losing money, who's like making money. So for example, if like the biggest market makers in the industry all got wiped out, that just tell you, okay, so the market is not going to be better, because the market is kind of maintained by market makers. Like the liquidity you see on every token is not provided by retail like us. It's provided by professional traders. So I'm not saying they're wiped out. I'm just saying we need to see more details. What's going on? Like, is Wintermute doing okay? Is all this are all these market makers doing fine? Like, what's behind that? So yeah, we need to see more facts. And also, if you actually see the numbers in central exchange and DEX, you can see the trading volume, the open interest, like all these numbers kind of go down. So like you need to see this number actually go up, and to know that we actually have positive liquidity, because the price always goes with liquidity. If nobody's trying, the price is just going to be down and down forever. And also like something we like to see is what's going on with the stock market, because like right now the stock market is very, very like have correlation with Bitcoin. And one of my friends who is also like a very, very professional trader, he always looks on TradingView about Bitcoin / Nasdaq. So he's like using that indicator to tell if the market is bullish or bearish. So yeah, I think there's still more things to see right now. Like nobody can be sure, but all I can say is liquidity definitely got drained like a lot. So we'll see if the retail and market makers and institutions and projects are having enough money to actually be involved. Because right now we see price going up and going down. It doesn't really matter because we are not involved. If you see more users and market makers getting involved, I think that's a good sign.
Yeah, 100%. I'm curious. Are you hearing any rumors potentially about any big players in the space that got hit really hard, and maybe for instance, like I know with Terra Luna, it took months for 3 Hours Capital, BlockFi, Celsius to come out and say, "Hey, we got screwed by that." Do you see anything like that happening in the future?
Yeah, many rumors. Nothing for sure, but definitely better than the Terra Luna thing. It's not that bad. It's not that bad, but definitely like lots of rumors. Because like all kinds of the cross chain cross CX ARB got liquidated. So like you got liquidated here, but the ARB just doesn't make sense. Like for example, like there are some institutions, they are shorting Bitcoin, Ethereum, but they are long all altcoins. So like imagine if you're like an institution like that, you don't make enough money on the shorts, but you got liquidated for all the altcoins. So like these institutions like definitely like lose money. But that's actually many institutions, family office doing, because if you do that through all these altcoin season, you are making money. So I don't know. We'll get more information, and if I can share them, I will share them in the next shows or not. But right now we just need more information. And also like if you look at like MERL volume, like we check that every day. Before the incident, it was like if it's going up, it's like 40 million on OKX, 40 million on Bithumb, overall like 200 million plus. Right now it's like 3 million on OKX. So you can see like the liquidity definitely could drain.
Yeah, man. Exciting.
Yeah. I mean, and a big part of that was people that were in leveraged positions, obviously that caused that cascade. We recently heard about Solana kind of focusing on building kind of a chain app as well to have their version of Hyperliquid. Do you I know we briefly talked about this before. Is that something that you're thinking about as well, possibly for Merlin, or are you just hyper focused on the BTC 5 because that's where your revenue is?
Yeah, I think it's too late. To be honest, like I don't think like a team like us, like 500 million to 2 billion like range project can be doing Perp DEX. Like I'm not trying to like avoid this conversation or like giving up on this. I'm just saying like there's something you got to do at one stage, and probably a few years later, if you're on next stage, you can do bigger things. So Perp DEX is definitely like competitive. Every chain, Sui, Aptos, Solana, Ethereum, every chain is building their own Perp DEX. So I think right now it's kind of too late. And even Sui or Aptos is building the Perp DEX. Do you think the Perp DEX will be bigger than Solana or Hyperliquid? Probably not. So it's like a very, very highly competitive market right now. I think for smaller ecosystem, for smaller projects, if they want to build something new, they should probably aim for the future. So like something can be big next year or 2 years later, and take your time to build on that. I mean, not many people have that kind of patience to do, but yeah, I think for Perp DEX it's kind of a late game now. CZ is doing this, Hyperliquid is doing, like everyone's doing that.
Yeah, I'd love that too, because like you guys said, hey, we missed that boat, but we're doing amazing stuff with the BitFi narrative. We're gonna keep pushing that narrative, and that narrative is probably going to be one of the biggest, in my opinion, of the cycle. So, but Jeff, man, really appreciate your time, dude. I know you're busy; it's late over there, but I'd love to get the stage one last time. If anything left you want to say to the audience?
Yeah, I mean, I can always stay later, but today I actually have like a 3-4 hour sleep because of that one. So I think Vegas will be better. Vegas will be like noon for us, so it will be like very, very good. Yeah. So I think right now it's better to just like stay put. See what's going on in the market. I don't think the bull market is over, but definitely takes time, because this time I don't think it's usual, because even before all this like March 12th, 2020. May 19th, 2021. Like I remember all of that. Even like September 4th of 2017. It's like all these dates that the market crashed. This time is very, very unusual, because it's not people dumping. The volume is very small, but $30-40 billion got liquidated. So it's very unusual. We need to be cautious and see what's going on next. So I don't suggest any people to do high leverage at this moment. Just protect your wallet. Buy your Bitcoin. Stake your Bitcoin for higher yields. Bitcoin is definitely going to be higher. I think that's like the best strategy ever.
Yeah, perfect. I mean, I agree with you. That's one thing you could count on this entire bull market, if we want to call it a bull market, because I'm hoping that we can just extend it out, like PlanB's chart said. But appreciate you, Jeff. Enjoy your meal, and thank you. And we'll talk to you next week.
Cool. Bye.
Bye.
See you, buddy. Absolutely awesome as always, dude. Like, I feel like he gives the alpha without even trying to, right? So I kind of let him into it a little bit more. I'm just curious, and I think his rumors are a lot better than my rumors because his information is out there. But I was hearing that like some huge corporations got hit kind of hard, and they're trying to claw their way back a little bit. So hearing him say that kind of justifies maybe my sources are getting kind of close to the actual truth.
Yeah. But I did really like that he said it's not as bad as Terra Luna part, right?
Yeah.
So that was definitely a relief a bit. But yeah, I agree. There had to have been somebody, because at the end of the day, you have your traders that we know, some of them that are prominent in the space that got hit hard, and there's going to be some entities that are like startup entities that are on that side of the risk curve, right? And those are the ones that will definitely have to rebound. But glad that it wasn't too bad, or at least that's what is being said. And I'm excited for these sectors that are really forming, like BTC-Fi, and then finding the leaders in those sectors. So we talked about the sectors for this, finishing out this cycle, AI, RWA, robotics. We didn't hit on BTC-Fi because I feel like it's really niche. It's really niche, but there's a lot of money in it. And I think like finding the leaders there, like Merlin, is going to be big, and it's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I think we definitely missed an opportunity to kind of showcase BitFi a little bit, because it is going to be a leader. And as Bitcoin gets bigger and bigger as an asset, like I said, I think my target is 700K. If that day ever happens, you're going to see a lot of people make a lot of money by just staking, right? Because your one Bitcoin that you have in there has so much more power to earn, and that's something that I think that is not sexy. Right. It's not something that like, what I mean? But it's something that potentially is going to be here forever, and is going to be something that is going to be, very transparent, and just, hey, you can make money on your Bitcoin now for the first time ever.
Yeah. I mean, rich people like to make money in a safe, passive way. Right. And so that's one of the options that they're going to have. So super exciting.
All right. I got a few more things here, if that's cool.
Yep.
All right, so this is really interesting. This is something you actually hit on earlier a little bit, but this is Alpha Arena platform has launched a new AI Trading Showdown, a benchmark featuring 6 top AI models, including Grok 4, DeepSeek, ChatGPT, Claude, all trading crypto assets with real capital. So somebody gave all these AI models $10,000. And we got some winners and some losers here. You got Grok and DeepSeek battling it out. They're about 100 hours apart right now. And then you have Claude, and then this one, I'm not really sure what this one is, but then you have ChatGPT and then Google's version, Gemini. So, but they're allowed to trade Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, BNB, Doge, and XRP. You see some are going long, some are going short, but this is amazing. I absolutely love this. I don't know why this gets me like giggling like a little schoolgirl. I think. What's your opinion on this?
Yeah, I mean, because you know a lot of these models by just being in our space, because I think from the outside world, I truly believe they're overlooking crypto AI involvement, because I think something enormous is going to come out of this. But this goes to show, that whenever you have projects like this that are testing out like the capabilities of maybe which AI models are more tuned in, right? DeepSeek and Grok, I would say, okay, DeepSeek, Grok, probably because of the X, involvement with it and having all that data as well. But like ChatGPT being second to last, I don't know if I expected that necessarily, right? So I'm curious to see, because these models, they also learn too, right? So as time goes on, do some of these that are kind of not performing well because they're under their initial, right? Do they catch up because they, you know, have the capability of learning more? And then also, like, what type of product comes out of this? Because if this is like data research, basically, right, at this point, do you start to build a product with the best performing ones? I imagine that's kind of, you know, the point. So
Yeah. Or do you go with products that are built for crypto, like Agent Hustle, like, you know,
yes.
Pay Anon, or like Banker Bot, right? The stuff that, like, I'm curious if you add the crypto ones in there, how they actually do.
Yeah, I think that would be interesting as well. And I wonder if some of these, you know, crypto ones that do utilize some of these resources as well, do they start to kind of look and leverage here a little bit? But yeah, because the ones that are built niche for the space, they've been trained this entire time. These, you're kind of doing a generic kind of start, right? And so it's going to take time for them to really get things down. But again, if this is just straight Bitcoin XRP, and it looks like blue chips that they're trading here, you know, I wonder, they would have got wrecked, really wrecked, if they tried to do some Solana degen stuff. Obviously, this is leverage, right? So not spot buys and stuff. And
Grok
if you
would
get
probably
a,
win that, right?
yeah, I would think, dude, it has to. It has
Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
data, right? So the social signals, but social signals can be deceiving too, though.
It's true. No, very true. You have got a lot of pump and dumpers that might get Grok.
There you go.
Grok to pump the price for them. But yeah, I think that's really cool. You know, a little part of this is that Grok 4 posted a daily return of 500%. So you got to remember too, this is one day of data, right? So you might see VO come out of nowhere. I mean, you got to remember VO has like the Willow chip, bro. Like, you know what I mean? So we'll see what happens with that. I know it's not installed yet, but if they do it, I can see craziness happening with Quantum. But according to DeFi Llama, the dark pool Humidify has become the largest DEX on Solana with 24-hour trading volume of 1.1 billion, 7-day volume of 9.6 billion, and a 30-day volume of 34. So what am I talking about? So let's get into it a little bit. Basically, it's all surpassing Meteora, Radium, and Pump. Humidify operates without a front end, so it has no website, and uses private quoting with trades typically executed via aggregators. Despite being branded as a DEX, Humidify's architecture is effectively semi-centralized, especially compared to real permissionless DEXs like Radium, Meteor, and Orca. Liquidity is controlled by a single or very small set of internal market makers, not by public users depositing tokens. That means it behaves more like a centralized internal order book or a dark pool. Humidify don't clean or mix the tokens in the way mixers or tumblers do, but they do make tracing specific trades paths much harder. So basically, the human won't be able to do it, but an AI who can really take a look, the AI will be able to figure it out, who, like, where that token went and who still owns it. But you know, somebody who like Zach XBT, who maybe doesn't use these like critical thinking, maybe he just checks the data like we do, he's gonna have a harder time figuring it out using the dark pool. So pretty crazy, and you know, it is really destroying everything else, right, by a lot. So 34, 31, 21, so it is up there with Meteora. But in order to use this, you have to do a swap in your Phantom wallet and actually go in and then change the path to Humidify, because it is a little bit more expensive, but people are airdrop farming this because some people are thinking that it's going to have a token to decentralize it a little bit better. And two, people are, you know, potentially don't want to get hit by these bots, these sandwich bots that Solana is kind of known for. ETH and Solana are very kind of known for. I've got hit by a Solana one recently, where they come in and they buy it right before you and they dump after you, making a couple dollars. But you know, they do that over time. They make a lot of money. But what do you think about Humidify right now being a dark pool that CZ wants, actually?
Citadel Securities, basically, you know, like that type of thing, to where, look, if things get out of hand, and we can fix things to get back on the right path, right, that they deem the right path. But you will have less, I think, pump and dump type situations. So I think that's what this is, and we're moving into that. You know, so like for example, like you couldn't really explain what was going on with the whole GameStop thing after Citadel came in with Robinhood, halted trading, you know, because the public's strategy didn't change much. You know, it was, oh, you know, the little guy, let's all band together. Oh, it's not working this time. You know what I mean? And look, I know some people sold and stuff like that, but it just like they knew something was up. That you could no longer beat them because they stepped in and said, okay, we need to stop this. But yeah, I think if they're like, if we're going to bring our capital over into this playground, we're going to make sure that, like, you know, this we control the rules a bit.
Yeah, 100%. I think you hit the nail on the head there, because this has to be a big player. Like, I mean, we're talking about $9.6 billion in volume over the course of the last 30 days. You need billions of dollars in liquidity for that to happen. Like, there's no, you know, otherwise you're gonna have slippage, you're gonna have whole types of other stuff. So this is the big player. You're right. This could be like them. This could be TradFi stepping in right now and saying, hey, this is how we want to run shit.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely not going to play the games that we play.
No.
They're not, and you know, no offense to the degens, because I love the degens, but like, you know, they're not dumb. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying degens are dumb, but you know what I mean? So, okay, we'll move on. But my point is that like Citadel, you know, those type of groups of people that like, they're just not going to gamble like that. You know, so if they're going to come over here, they're going to make sure that their capital and liquidity is not going to have a shot at being drained out. You know, they're going to control it. You can either play, and I think they're going to give a value kind of aspect to this and say, look, I mean, you're going to have far less pump and dumps in our arena than you do in the decentralized ones, but it might be a slower growth as well, and maybe some of them won't be, maybe some of them will kind of, and maybe in the beginning they try to kind of get some of these like companies that are legitimate to launch or whatever. And this, I don't even know, like I'm basically using my like, you know, imagination in terms of what they're going to use this for, like in terms of projects or whatever, if it's just going to be, you know, strictly for DeFi, like what the whole point is. But whatever it is, they're doing it to protect their capital.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the biggest reason that for, you know, them to create this is mainly because let's just say they want to do, you know, $1 billion swap of stablecoin, right? They don't want to deal with getting sandwiched on that. That would hurt. I mean, we're talking potentially, you know, millions of dollars, right? So I think, do you agree with that? Do you think that's the main reason for creating this, so is they don't get sandwiched on like $1 billion swaps of stablecoins?
I think that's just another aspect of it, to where they're like, you know, maybe it's the main one because they, like you said, you know, even doing something safe, you can get front ran, right?
Yeah.
And so they're not going to do that. If anybody's going to do the front running, it's going to be them.
100%. They're going to do it in the other pools, and then so you can't do it on theirs. But yeah, I think this is, I don't know. I love talking about this type of stuff. I think it's really cool. I think, you know, we're seeing innovation right now that we've never seen before from these big players. So
yeah, the infrastructure is basically forming for them to start to participate.
Yeah, and when they participate, they're going to bring trillions of dollars with them, right? And so, but we'll see. So a video went viral on YouTube this week after a US-based victim lost $3 million. I feel bad for this guy. So let me actually tell you guys the story of it. So I follow him on TikTok. That's where I saw it, and then I actually traveled over to his YouTube program. But he had 100,000 views on this. So this guy, he's been accumulating XRP since 2017. He's been buying it since XRP was 2 pennies. He had about $3 million worth going. He had about 1.25 million XRP. He worked his entire life. He was buying every paycheck. He basically stopped working this year because he assumed that this was going to be a bull run year, expecting to get to $10. But he's kind of given into the fact that, and he was about to go buy a house in Las Vegas. Him and his wife were set to go out next week to start looking at houses there and using this XRP money to buy that house as a retirement home, right? And you know, he went and checked his wallet, and he was using a cold wallet and called Ellipal, and apparently it's an XRP wallet. But he thought it was cold, but when he signed up for it, it was actually a hot wallet, meaning that everything was online, and somebody was able to come in bypass his keys and transfer that, and they put it in like 40 different wallets of like 40,000 in each wallet. And they were able to money launder this using, basically it does seem like it was like a North Korea type style hack, because it was they use the same rails that North Korea does when they're doing their money laundering, I guess you would say. But dude, this is crazy. It sucks to see, but it's almost to the point where I might tell people just to start using Coinbase and just leave your assets over there.
Yeah, I watched this as well. I saw his post go through my feed, and it was really tough to watch. I mean, $3 million. I mean, I'm like checking a million different things with that. Splitting it up or
not have it in
also
the same wallet. You don't have all your eggs in one basket. Multiple, you know what I mean? Like not that much.
Yeah, but I mean, you feel bad for him. At the end of the day, hope he can maybe earn some through his channel or whatever. So we'll see. But yeah, the thing is he had a hardware wallet and ended up, it was a hot wallet as well, right? So that's the part where you got to be careful with those, is that they're connecting to browsers and stuff like that. Like triple, quadruple check to make sure it's not a hot wallet, and then have your fail safes in place, split it up, those kind of things.
And he's an older guy, blue collar guy, you know what I mean? So I don't fault him for it, but like having 3 million in one wallet is stupid. Having everything you have in one wallet is stupid. Like for me, I don't even keep everything on this computer. Like I have other computers, other devices in my house that I keep some stuff on, right? And it's not even like that much, right? It's just enough for if this wallet got hurt, it's not a bad year, it's a bad week, right? So it's kind of like that's how you kind of got to structure it. Let's just say you have, I don't know, $100,000 in crypto. Don't have more than 25,000 in one wallet. I mean, I think that's stupid. Do you agree?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I would say so. Whatever it is, like you got to set some sort of threshold, right? That is your tolerance for that, but definitely not putting it all in one. I get nervous when I do that with like 5-figure stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, there's things that you learn along the way, especially if you're really in the space, like, daily and stuff. And, but one thing that you said with Coinbase, that's not a bad idea, to put like a good amount in there. And I know some people might be like, oh, it's centralized. Look, if Coinbase goes down, we all going down. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, and I think that's what people are starting to realize with Coinbase, right? Now, say, well, then, you're going to have to pay capital gains tax. Like, so yeah, sure. But like, I'd rather do that than lose it all. So.
Yeah, 100%. And like, but his capital gain tax will be 15% because he's been buying it since 2017. As long as you hold it for longer than a year, you're paying 15%. So even like for him, if I was him, I would have had, a ledger. I would have had multiple different hardware wallets, and then still put 10% in Kraken, put 10% in Coinbase, put 10% in crypto.com, right? Just to have it there. And if one exchange goes down, you're still good. If let's just say he lost, a quarter of that, he's still very happy. He still made tons of money. I mean, he doesn't want to lose a quarter of that, but still, he's still in good position to kind of still see success. And now he has to start a YouTube channel to try to earn it all back. And if he does start a GoFundMe, I'll definitely throw a couple bucks at it. go that route. He wants to build a YouTube channel and stuff like that. But who knows? He might become one of the biggest YouTubers and make $3 million next cycle, right? So anything can happen in crypto. So I'm really looking. I hope he pushes forward and. That does some amazing stuff in the future. All right, jump to the next thing. Wyoming government has recently issued 100,000 FRNT. This is their stablecoin, the Wyoming stablecoin. They have it on Solana, Ethereum, Arbitrum, Base, Optimism, Polygon, and Avalanche. They're going full tilt here. They're going on all the chains here. And for a minute, I thought it was just EVM, but throwing Solana in there, I think you have to throw Solana in there. But how do you feel about the Wyoming stablecoin? Do you think this can get traction to the point of potentially you holding it?
I mean, I don't know about me holding it, but like I think this is really freaking cool to have a state government issue 100,000 of their stable tokens on these blockchains that we deal with every day. You know what I mean? So it's a cool moment, and I think it's probably seems like a smaller moment than it is. I think it's a bigger moment than what it feels like because we got the state governments involved now, and we're gonna learn quickly how they're gonna make their revenue and all these things, because it's obviously they're doing it for a reason.
Yeah, 100%. And you know, the biggest reason is to earn yield on everyone's money.
Yeah.
Think about that. If they can go full stablecoin, they can potentially earn 4% on, you know, $100 billion, and that can go back to state revenue, right? So if they're buying treasury bonds, which is safe, and then being a part of the government, you know, the government's like, I got to screw them over. So I don't know. I think it's genius. I think this whole thing of Wyoming is just Wyoming and Texas, in my opinion, are just seem to be two states that are just so far above everyone else. You got Florida in there. Pennsylvania, where I'm from, is terrible. I mean, we are so far behind, I feel like, everyone else when it comes to crypto. And, you know, I just think that, you know, potentially we need to fix that. But, you know, it is nice to see Wyoming, Texas, and Florida really take the initiative here.
Yeah, but it's a little shocking because PA did kind of come out to put the legislation first, but
they declined it.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So at least you see some people that want to do it within your state government, and they're just like, I guess if you're going to say, if you're on that side of the aisle, they're probably a better one than, you know, some of the others.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. All right, so I got a question for you. Is it time to buy runes? I'm looking here, dude, and I've been somebody who's been bearish on runes, probably up until about this past weekend. And I've been bearish on runes for a lot of different reasons. I didn't think the bottom was in yet for runes. I think that, you know, as Bitcoin has another pump into it, I think a lot of that gets sold into Bitcoin. But now I'm kind of sitting here and I'm looking at some of these prices, and Dog just had a huge push up here, up 10%. I wasn't expecting that. But, you know, I am seeing stuff like MIM right now at 20 million. I'm seeing Pups at 5 million. I'm seeing Gizmo at 2.5 million. I'm seeing Billy at 4 million. I'm sitting here and I'm like foaming at the mouth because I feel like this isn't my brain telling me to buy these. It's like my body's just telling me, like, yo,
like a trigger.
Something's going on.
It's like an intuition, which is good because, like, I think, you know, for the runes aspect of it, you know, I feel like you've, you know, like you've basically called it how you feel it. You felt like runes was not something to be in the past month and a half, and
right.
Yeah, but I think the biggest thing that sometimes people get caught up in is like not being open-minded because you called like a certain thing, but then, like, you know, what I'm seeing here is you're saying, like, I'm getting intuition right now. I'm getting like a gut instinct that, you know, this is the bottom, and so looking at this as an opportunity possibly that's a really good thing, because now, you know, whatever you claimed runes a month and a half ago is completely separate from this. You get what I'm saying? And so, and I think that's a sign of kind of like just you know, you growing into the markets and trusting in your instincts and stuff like that, which is a huge thing, by the way, because if you're in this market every day, and this is for the audience, and your instincts are telling you something for a reason, because you've been researching and studying and doing all these things. So you got to have confidence in that. And so, yeah, I mean, I need to take a look myself. I haven't been paying attention to them as much, right? You know, we see Dog right under 200 million. We know Dog is kind of going to be in that position to where if you know, things get really bullish, it's going to benefit. We know that. But then it's kind of like looking at the low hanging fruit, right? Like those ones that really have that upside. You look at MIM at 20 million. We saw it at 80. You know, so that's a 4x from here if it just gets back to, you know, what it was. But if we're in a really bullish environment in November, that 80 million could look like 180 or 200, you know. So it's really interesting that you're kind of taking a look at these again. But it's like, okay, which ones were established, which ones are diehards that are never going to leave the rune space, which there is a small percentage of that. And then which ones can reignite.
Yeah, 100%. And like I sold, I'm not gonna pat myself on the back, but I sold MIM at 80 million. I was on the beach, right, when Coinbase posted that picture of thing. I was like, oh shit, this is crazy. And my wife's like, what are you doing? I'm like, shh, making money. Like, you know what I mean? So it was just like, I bought that at 30, wrote it up to 80, sold most of it at 80, sold most the other half at like 50 on its way down. And same thing with Gizmo. I bought Gizmo at 3 million and sold it at 12 million, right? I bought Billy at, you know, I want to say 8 million, sold it at like 14 million. And now I'm kind of sitting here and I'm like, I want to do it again. And I think I might be able to. I just got to find the liquidity to do so. But I'm starting to get really bullish on runes here. All right. Okay, so OpenSea has connected with Rodamore, about adding the narrative support with for Ordinal. So this is by Troy, and anyone knows Troy is a little bit extra, I guess you could say, when it comes to pretty much everything. I like Troy. I met him in New York. He's a really cool guy. He's he said he was sober. He didn't seem sober, but he seems like an awesome guy, though, I'm not gonna lie. But he came out. Rodamore basically put out a post at OpenSea, and one of the top guys from OpenSea responded to it. So what do you think? Do you think this happens? Do you think this happens by the end of the year? Do you think OpenSea basically came out and said we're lazy? We just didn't want to do it. That's basically their response.
Well, and plus it was 2023, so they're like, this is not the time. But Magic Eden said, "Hold my beer," because it is the time, and Magic Eden lost out on, or OpenSea lost out on business. So I do think this happens, of course, because this is good for Casey big time, right? So having Ordinals or exposure to Ordinals on OpenSea is a win for everybody, I think, here. And it's also a good sign because it shows that OpenSea is making a bet now on Ordinals before things get crazy in terms of the NFT sector. Look, we had Magic Eden, and then we had some smaller platforms that really showcased Ordinals. Magic Eden obviously benefited big because they also got some of that liquidity that was traded from the BRC20s back into Ordinals and stuff like that. But Ordinals haven't had a fair fight against Ethereum NFTs, and that's because Ethereum NFTs were on every platform, right? And so now you're starting to get them on Ordinals on like some of the other big boys. So I think we're going to see some more of a fair fight this round between Bitcoin art and Ethereum art. Right now, Ethereum's kicking their butt. But we saw when it was just Magic Eden at some points in 2023 and early 2024 where Bitcoin was #1 for that month. It was a couple times. And so can we get back to that? I don't know. It's going to take a lot. And Ethereum's doing it whenever the NFT market isn't super thriving. So imagine what it's going to be like whenever it's thriving over there. But I'll tell you, the Bitcoin guys are resilient. So we'll see.
Yeah, 100%. And imagine like the Ethereum guys, because we do know like MetaMask was planning to do a Taproot stuff. Imagine if they can just buy it with their MetaMask, and they just hold the Bitcoin runes or Bitcoin ordinals with their MetaMask, and then but look at the pump though we're seeing from these ordinals because of that, right? We're seeing 6%, 7%, 36% for the Wizards, 14% from Akita Mia, which we know is a Spark project, but these all can be now trading on OpenSea, where billions of dollars are traded daily.
Yeah, exactly. And so also I'm curious to what the OpenSea marketing campaign is going to be once they onboard this, because I'm sure they're going to have some sort of cool aggressive campaign for Ordinals as well.
Yeah, 100%. Patty Poo says Zbit is cheap here. Yeah, dude, Zbit, it looks. I mean, if you're a Bitcoin machine holder like Patty is, you might be interested in that. 100%. I got a few more topics here, some small stuff. So Grove Exchange listed Agent Hustle. This is the third exchange in the matter of the last 2 weeks that are listing Agent Hustle. I was really bullish on this. Guys, I'm very bullish on Agent Hustle. I think that is such an opportunity right now. Sitting at $6 million. I mean, wow, absolutely insane opportunity if you haven't got a bag yet. But yeah, how do you feel about exchanges now coming into Agent Hustle? Agent Hustle is barely on any exchanges right now.
Yeah, I think it's going to be big. I think they're going to get picked up by some more. There's some big news, I'm sure, that Hustle's going to come out with to kind of close this year out. So the next 2 months, they've been building. That's why I think that, they've been building in different areas as well. And so the AI boom, which I think is possibly we're going to have a version 2. I don't know. Do you feel that? I feel like we're going to have a version 2 a little bit. Version 1 was, if you got in version 1, man, you made out like a bandit. I'm talking about first before virtuals. I'm talking about the Solana stuff, the Go AI, the AI 16Zs, the Elizas, those ones. And then you had virtuals come through, and then you had a whole nother subset of making out like a bandit. So people have been kind of stepping on AI a little bit the last, I would say, 3 months. But now I think they're starting to realize that, okay, there's about to be a second season of it, which could be stronger than the first, to be honest, because we know, that second time around is really kind of when things go. I mean, that would be hard to top, but we'll see.
Well, I mean, like I said before, I mean, we've seen it with DeFi, right? DeFi had, everyone says DeFi summer, but DeFi summer was 6 weeks. AI winter, as I like to call it, that was like 6 weeks, right? I mean, for the glory days of it, right? You might take it back to the second week of November till January 1st, right? You might have some stuff pumping at the end. But I feel like, we're going to see a resurgence of AI the same way we saw a resurgence of DeFi during 2021. I think, DeFi was one of the biggest winners. I mean, that's how we both really started making a lot of money back then, was DeFi products on different chains, right? It wasn't just on Ethereum where it started. It ended up going everywhere. And we got into some stuff super early, and then we got kicked in the face later, but that's kind of how it went. But yeah, let's jump to our final thing here. Bitcoin Pump Fund. How do you feel about a BRC 2.0 Pump Fund? Basically copied the cat, the entire thing here. Even the logo is the pill, just in a B formation. But what do you think, man? Is this something potentially you'll play? You have Cat Swap that's built in here, so that when they graduate from here, they go to Cat Swap. But how do you feel about B Pump? That fun.
I hate the branding behind it, just because it's a. I mean, no offense to the builders, I'm sure they put a lot of work into it, but yeah, I mean, just should have probably did their own kind of branding on that. You could still have the same interface, similarly to what they have, but just like I would have branded it different. But hey, maybe they're trying to roll the dice here and see if this brings people in. But more than that, I'm interested to see how this goes. It doesn't look like there's much volume at all on it yet. So we'll see if they can pick up some volume. I know that there's a lot of builders that are waiting for Best in Slot to finalize some things here, and I think Best in Slot's waiting on OKX and Unisat, because I think it has to do with like indexing, matching it up so it's not like throwing off what they have built with 2.0. And so hopefully that happens in the next week or so. But I'm interested to see the volume. Low expectations, but interested. Right.
Yeah, I mean, you have to bridge in. It's the same thing as playing on Merlin right now, right? There's no difference in. You got to bridge in. You have to get pro BTC. Same thing with Merlin. You get bridge in, and then you can play. So to me, it's just like they should have just built this on Merlin. At least it's EVM, and it would be a good experience. I guess this is EVM as well, but I don't know. Definitely bearish on this. I think Bump Fund would have been better, BUMP instead of B Pump Fund. I don't know, just something in like a drug version or something. I don't know. But I think I don't know. Good luck is all I can say. Not bullish on this at all. Won't be playing on it. Definitely reminds me of Francis's, his version of what he had going on over there. But that's our show today, guys. I really appreciate it. We got 195 people in here. We do know fear is in the 30s. We weren't really expecting much from this week, but we do see some things happening that kind of push us to kind of back to where it's fun again. We know it's boring. We know there's not happening in the trenches, but we just really appreciate you guys hanging with us each and every day.
Yeah, and I have been just peeking over in the trenches. So the energy is starting to pick up a little bit, but the AI, that's why I brought up the AI thing, because I'm seeing people really kind of hone in on that as well. But you're right. I was looking at some of the other popular shows earlier today, and people are just, I don't know, feels kind of like a holiday weekend kind of extended type of situation, but Jeff said it, you agreed with them, and I came in last to say, okay, I think finally, the 2 weeks is what we probably need off, in terms of mental health and stuff. And it seems like people are kind of doing that. So I expect it to rev back up probably, later this week, but we appreciate each and every one of you guys for watching us. Without you guys, without your support, we couldn't do this, and we're very appreciative of that. But also without our partners, we couldn't do it. And so Sats Terminal is the DEX aggregator swap for the entire Bitcoin ecosystem. The Spark tokens, I'm starting to see a little bit more of that on my timeline, so I feel like they have a rabbit in their hat they're going to pull out here soon. But you can swap for Spark tokens right now on satsterminal.com, and you're going to need to know where to go once these meme launch pads start to launch off these Spark tokens, right? And Sats Terminal is going to be able to aggregate from all of them. So this is going to be your one-stop shop. But if you're interested in swapping for runes, because they seem like they might have an opportunity coming up, you can do all the runes there at satsterminal.com as well. And Alkanes, as there's an Alkanes community as well that is strong as well there. And you're going to earn Amber points, and Amber points go back towards a give back for early adopters of the platform. And you earn a bonus of Amber points connecting your Bitcoin wallet for the first time to satsterminal.com. But also, don't forget they have an amazing Bitcoin borrowing and lending product there. If you go to their homepage, it's the second link there. They have partnered with the largest servicers in the industry, the Aves, the Morphos. So they have all the experienced developers or teams that they're working with there. So you can earn against, or you can take out against your Bitcoin, so you don't have to sell it down, and you'll miss that run up to 400,000, eventually 700,000, right? So you can take stables out against it instead, and then you can degen with that. You can buy more Bitcoin. See, whatever makes sense at the moment, right? Head over to satsterminal.com to learn more today. And then you have Emblem Vault, which is the interoperability tooling for the Bitcoin ecosystem. If you're looking to jump your Bitcoin ordinals or NFTs like Rare Pepes, the counterparty NFTs, you can do so to Ethereum right now if they have that option available. And you actually can take a loan out against your Taproot Wizards on the Gandhi application on the Ethereum blockchain as well. So they already have that set up there. The team's going to open up to more EVM tech stacks as well. So stay tuned for that. And they are looking to add Solana to Emblem Vault so you can bridge or jump your ordinals and stuff over there as well. But speaking of Solana, they have the best AI product in the Solana ecosystem called AgentHustle.ai. Speaking of, the DeFi stuff, Hustle can do a lot of those things for you. Swap for any Solana token. There's actual staking of the Hustle token he can perform on your behalf. But you can ask questions like, find some safe place for me in the Solana ecosystem. He'll bring back a couple options for you. Also, there's a conditional trading engine built inside of Hustle, so you can set some limit buy and sell orders for these degen tokens that you normally couldn't do. He'll take care of that while you're at the grocery store or working out, whatever you need to do. He'll handle it for you on your behalf. Also, there is subscription levels to Hustle. So there is a free subscription level, but is very limited with the tool sets, but you can ask the basic questions and stuff like that. If you want the real good stuff, you got to kind of upgrade that, and you can use the Hustle token to pay for that, and you get a discount to do so. The Hustle token is the single token that powers the entire Emblem ecosystem. And then there is a product as well that's a part of this ecosystem called Migrate.Fund. If you launched a token in the Solana ecosystem on a launchpad that has locked liquidity, Migrate.Fund can help migrate your token and community to another launchpad if you'd like. Also, they can migrate to a Meteora LP that you can manage, so you can earn the most out of your LP with the trading fees there. They already finished their first cohort. Amazing job there to the team, and they're going to be loading up right now for their second and third cohort. So if you're interested, reach out to the team there. You can go to migrate.fund to find more information, or go to emblem.vision to get the team's contact information and learn about all the products I broke down there. And then lastly is Merlin Chain. Merlin Chain is uniting Bitcoin strength through the power of AI with their Wizard version 2.0. You can trade cross-chain. All you have to do is have some Merlin Bitcoin in your wallet, your Merlin Chain wallet, and the Wizard can swap for Solana tokens, BNB tokens, or Merlin Chain tokens, of course. It can also do some DeFi functionalities as well, DeFi swaps and staking. And speaking of staking, they have a proof of stake security model for the blockchain. There is 3 ways to be a part of this model. The first one is staking Bitcoin to earn more Bitcoin, which is an awesome product that everybody's looking for right now. The first staking vault ended September 30th. They got on average 17% for the stakers that were interested in this. Got a lot of institutional interest as well. I think $55 million worth of investment went into this as well. And the next staking vault is open right now, actually. So they're going to try to get as much APR for you, and it goes until January 8th. So make sure you're taking advantage of that right now as it's loading up, and there is going to be a cap, and I believe it's like 150. But make sure you're following the team to get the latest updates on this stuff. But there's two other options for the Merlin Chain token. There's a day-to-day staking option for MERL. You earn 15% APR. You can claim the rewards daily and roll those up into a compound interest. It does take 7 days to pull out for their cooldown period if you do want to withdraw after you deposit, though. So just know that. And then the last option is the 6-month lockup period, which is a 45% APR. You can do the claiming rewards daily as well with this one, but obviously it's locked up 45 days. So head over to merlinchain.io to learn more. We appreciate each and every one of you guys for checking out our partners.
Yep. Great job, man. As always. And if you guys have a few more minutes and wouldn't mind checking out onchainrevolution.io, we have some of the best articles dating all the way back to 2023. If you know someone just entering the space, please send them our website. We really feel like it can help them get started and code up to where we are today. Last week, with article, hot crypto airdrops. Guys, you definitely need to check this out. These are 3 to 4 minute reads. If you're not reading these weekly, you're going to miss out. 100% going to miss out. Highly recommend checking out this website at least once a week, checking out the new article that drops and everything else. If you need a VPN to use things like, Hyperliquid, like MEXC, you need Nord. I've used all the VPNs out there. Nord is my favorite, and right now we're giving you guys an insane discount on it. You get up to 77% off. So if you go to nord.com, they're going to get you to pay $11.59. Do not do that. Pay the $3. Use our link here. Get it for $3. Lock it in for 2 years, and then you get an extra 3 months. So think about it. You get 27 months for $60 or $66. You cannot miss that. To me, it's stupid. Just sign up for it, pay the $60 plus tax or whatever it is, $70, lock it in for 2 years. Now you can use Hyperliquid, you can use MEXC. There's something else that comes out. And then they geo block you because of your location. And it's not your country that is blocking you, it's actually the website. Especially in the US, we're getting really crypto friendly, but a lot of these entities still want to geo block us for potential issues in the future. But with the VPN, you guys can lock it in and potentially use whatever you want, whenever you want. There's stuff, especially when something's DeFi. You shouldn't be able to get geo blocked. They still geo block you, but this kind of gets you around it, and you can put yourself in Italy. Like I've been using Italy lately because it's just been one of the fastest ones. It doesn't lag. Like I was using Switzerland for a while and El Salvador. They kind of lag in and out, but if you can find your perfect one, depending on where you're at in real life, like for me, Italy seems to be the top one. And I noticed too, when I'm like on TikTok, I'm getting a lot of like Italian TikToks. So you can even use it for that. You can use it different places in the world and get like, let's just say you're from, I don't know, England. If you switch your geolocation to England, you'll see a lot of the like English ones. Or if you're Brazilian and you want to see a lot of Brazilian TikToks, you can do that. So it's really cool. Get a VPN, and the only one I know you can do that with is Nord. So definitely, if you're interested in that, make sure you guys get yourself a VPN. And on top of that, we have some of the best merch in all of crypto. Going to be adding some more stuff here soon. But if you guys want hats, jackets, shirts, and school bags, and so much more, check out everything here on our Shopify, all done through a third party. We don't see your name. We don't see your address. Buy it through them. And yeah, get yourself some merch. But guys, remember, we are live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Pacific, and 3 p.m. UTC. Check us out all week, guys. And until tomorrow.
Peace.
OnChain revolution, roll call, market recap. You not bullish enough, no. You're not bullish enough, no. Look at the price go, Bitcoin control. Why you still coping? Price action rolling. Don't fall for bear trap. Swapping indexes and putting it up in the sex. I can take profit right now. OnChain is where I be now. You can never look back. They don't want you to know. How do the market react? Fear and greed gotta adapt. Now we bridging the tokens and marching the network right now. You know how crazy we are. Nookies are savages now. They know how crazy we are. Chain abstraction, main attraction. OnChain revolution.